Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. It is June 11th, 2026. I am James Jones. I'm joined today by Mr. John Lindemann.
It's great to be here, James.
Mr. Guillaume Veillet.
Hello, hello.
And Mr. Greg Leahy.
Ahoy, ahoy, everyone.
I don't know why I'm in this voice, but it's fine. We're going to stick to it. This is episode I don't know. Hold on. I got this.
979, man, right?
979.
Bam.
Yeah, you're right. It is 979. Bam. Yep. Ba-yam. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct. We kind of knew this was going to happen, and so we joked about it last week. We're like, we're going to have new business next week unless something else happens. I can't imagine what that would be, though. Yeah, we knew. So Nintendo had their June Direct on Tuesday. This was not part of Summer Game Fest because they're not giving Keighley any goddamn money. You can't stop us from doing our own thing the week later. And I appreciate this sort of like neo-punk attitude they have towards Jeff Keighley's Fuckfest, where they're just like, what are you going to do? Yell at us for doing ours 4 days after you finish up your bullshit? We invented this format. I like this. I like this sort of just like, I'm not going to give you a cut to get on the schedule. Fuck off. I don't appreciate the fact that we only found out about it about 20 hours ahead of time because it meant that I couldn't plan to watch it live, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. Nintendo themselves built this as mostly focused on things for this year. It was not exclusively focused on things for this year. There were things that were for next year as well. Also, mostly Switch 2 content. There was a little bit of Switch stuff, and we led right.
There was the Rhythm Heaven right off the bat. Right,
I was about to say we led right with Rhythm Heaven.
It was very much like the way it ended up being was like, let's just get the Switch thing, and it is close at hand as well as a matter of weeks away, right? When it's launching. But it did feel like let's just kind of get this out of the way and then get to the Switch 2 stuff, which is I think that's a little bit surprising just for the point of view if you look at how well Tomodachi Life has done.
Oh yeah,
I was a little bit concerned about, the fact that it's been so long since the last Tomodachi Life game and the sharing stuff. You kind of like, is it gonna? And the fact that the spotlight is kind of off Switch original like exclusives at this point. Well, it's done really well. So you might have thought there might, and there still could be, presumably, because they might not spend that long hyping like original Switch stuff at this point. But no, that was Rhythm Heaven Groove was the one and only kind of Switch one kind of game that they focused on.
Yeah, they featured some third party stuff that was both. That was like, hey, there is also a Switch version of this. Like the Hello Kitty thing has a Switch version.
Sure.
But yeah, like from Nintendo, that was it. It was Rhythm Heaven. I'm a little surprised there isn't a Switch 2 version of Rhythm Heaven, but I guess they just either don't have the time and energy to put into it, or it just doesn't need it. But because there were some games right around the Switch launch where it's like it doesn't have a Switch 2 version, but it does some things on Switch 2 to make things work a little better. So maybe it's fine. But we did learn there is a new weird RPG mode, and we got to see some of the multiplayer content. So it does feel like this is a fairly robust game. Also, we heard how many new mini games there were, which coming off of what was the last one called? Gold?
It was Mega Mix, right? Was the 3DS game, which, as it kind of implies, it was made up of some new, entirely unique sort of games / songs, but it was a lot of kind of taking a selection from all the previous ones and like bringing them up to the same kind of audio visual like standard and mixing them together. So to have a completely original kind of one seem, although the multiplayer games they were showing did seem quite similar to Rhythm Heaven Fever on Wii, in that it's like the multiplayer stuff seems like it's adapting some of the the earliest Rhythm Heaven games that you've seen, like from the GBA game that didn't even come out outside of Japan, and turning them into multiplayer things. Although that's not all of them certainly, but some of the ones they showed straight away is like, this is 06 stuff. 80
solo games and 30 for co-op or competitive multiplayer.
No, see, considering they're pricing this, really quite
shockingly low.
Yeah, like below Tomodachi Life for sure.
Yes.
It does seem like they're still kind of making a certain amount of efforts to say, hey, this is not going to be just something you burn through super fast and you'd be done with it, because you've got this, as you said, the spellcaster thing. Mode is an unlockable thing, where you're kind of doing rhythmic inputs to do sort of stock RPG spells, like magic attacks, healing spells, whatever. Yeah, no idea how much legs that actually would have, but it's certainly something that they haven't had before. And indeed, that featured like kind of text, but then the kind of same text-to-speech kind of voice that you would get from like Tomodachi Life in there. So
I remember what they named that
with the
character.
Weird energy that the series has, I guess. But you can't help but think of Tomodachi Life.
We got to meet the character by name that is the text narrator, which was unnecessary, but sure. It was like little redhead or something like that. Like some hyper descriptive name of this is just what that character is. I am more excited about this game than I was before. Like it felt very like it was announced, but I wasn't really thinking about it. Little Miss reads because she reads the fucking text to you.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
That's like, literal.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I saw something today. They made sure to tell us that you can turn her off.
That's good.
Yeah. Because it's basically for people who haven't seen it. It's the Tomodachi Life, voice generation thing.
Yeah, but with a little bit less goofiness in it, like trying to be a little bit cleaner, but not much. It's still very robotic sounding. Like they aren't trying to make it sound human.
Well, they literally had her say beep at the end of each sentence.
They did.
I don't know. Yeah.
Beep. I mean, that's also what I say at the end of each sentence, so I understand. Beep. It's weird. It's actually her saying the little icon telling you to press the button to advance the text.
Right. That's
the part that's funny.
It's an accessibility feature, but they made it, cute because they're Nintendo.
Because particularly, it's a Rhythm Heaven game. So this comes out in July, early July, like the 2nd, I think. So it's less than a month away now.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I would pre-order it, except there's no reason to pre-order a digital game. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I hope, I would imagine, right, they would, because Megamix I just imported from Japan, and so, and the Wii game as well. The only localized version of Rhythm Heaven that I have is the DS game, which was only the localized version. It didn't get over you back then, not surprisingly, on DS. It didn't give you the chance to play the Japanese originals instead. I assume subsequent releases have given that option, perhaps. So I hope that would be maintained if that's true, because a lot of the time I think it's just going to say, especially when you've played the series almost exclusively in Japanese the way I have, it's just going to have that degree of sort of verisimilitude if it's the Japanese version, I think, where vocals come into it. So I hope that will be an accessible option for people buying domestically.
I just got a message from Nintendo Music telling me there's Wii Sports Resort music added, which I can't think of almost any music from that game. So cool, I guess. But there's relevance to that. We'll get to it.
You will get the bowling music stuck in your head, and you won't be able to do anything about it.
Damn. It's the end is coming for me. Was Onimusha known? Or I knew the game was known. Was it known that it was coming to Switch 2? I don't think it was.
I will assume not.
Okay.
But I mean, like, the Switch 1 has been getting the remakes of 1 and 2, same as the other platforms. So that makes sense. I'm not surprised,
This is the second soft reboot of the series, I think, where they've dropped numbers. So this is Onimusha Way of the Sword. Comes out in September. Look, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think that there might be a demo on Steam.
There
or
is
something.
a demo that launched. There's a demo that launched on the eShop day of Direct. I just haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Oh, I haven't seen it on the games page.
Hold on.
But maybe I was looking at the wrong game. Maybe I was looking at Onimusha 2.
Oh no, I'm sorry. The pre-orders began the day of it. I was reading my notes wrong.
Okay. So I've seen some people. I've seen like wildly varying reactions. Like some people think that the Isen attacks are awesome. Like I think it's basically just like you kill them in one shot when you parry them, and you do. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what that entails. But there are others who seem to think that it's not faithful to what Onimusha is about, because it seems to make maybe the game a little bit too easy. Because I don't know, I saw this video of someone like surrounded by dudes, and the dudes were taking turn. Like, okay, this guy attacks.
Yes.
You do the ascend. You take your time slicing him up. And then, once you're done, someone else attacks. And
taking turns.
Yeah. And so, some people were like, this is making the game too easy, or whatever.
Well, we'll see. Comes out in September, I believe. John, question for you.
Shoot.
Have you... I feel like the answer is yes. Did you play Dragon's Dogma 2?
Dragon's Dogma 2, no. I played the original.
Okay.
Dragon's Dogma 2, the sequel does look pretty cool, though. That does look very cool.
Because it's coming to Switch.
Yeah.
This was our Capcom section of the show, I guess. Or it's coming to Switch 2. Let me clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
Later this year, I don't remember the date, October or something. It looks good. I mean, granted, this is a last-gen game. So, like, the Switch 2 should be able to handle it.
Yep.
I don't think there's any new content. So, like, this is a very, very late port. Because there are a few of those that Switch 2 got. It's a very, like, 4 or 5 year late port, but it has all the DLC or something. I don't know if Dragon's Dogma 2 has DLC. Or if Dark Arisen is the...
That's the... Sorry, Dragon's Dogma?
Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen is the subtitle.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think there's like I don't think this is like a deluxe edition or anything like that.
I think it might be, because I saw several Dragon's Dogma 2 heads just like going like, what? Like, this is how we're learning of new content in a Nintendo thing that they haven't even announced? Like that.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so people were kind of like going nuts, like, this is the most Dragon's Dogma thing to do, to just throw that out there. That is true. To just be like, yeah, you know what? Bang.
Dark Arisen, I guess, it's an enhanced version of the original Dragon's Dogma?
Dragon's Dogma... This is Dragon's Dogma 2, so that's... Alright, let me go to the PR. Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen, In this expanded version of Dragon's Dogma 2, embark on the single-player fantasy RPG to slay the dragon who has taken your heart. As the Arisen, you will take down hostile barbarians, legendary enemies, and giant monsters that each require strategic planning and techniques. New to this version, explore the land of Norgan. Okay, that was why I thought there was DLC here. Yeah, this was how they announced DLC for Dragon's Dogma 2. It will come with the Switch 2 version. If you own other platforms, you're on your own. October 9.
Right.
So this is that. To Guillaume's point, though, this is Dragon's Dogma announcing DLC, kind of almost feeling like it's by accident by announcing it's already in another version.
Yeah.
Is very on point for Capcom weird shit, particularly with this franchise. Can't remember what's next. Hold on, back to the notes. I've got too many tabs. I got
Stellar
notes
Blade,
in one.
I think was next.
Stellar Blade is coming to Switch 2. I know almost nothing. I know very little about Stellar Blade.
The only thing I know is that I don't want to know more about it. This is the game with the protagonist where they thought that why is the Automata, like basically like they thought like, well, we like the idea of, wielding a sword as like this petite woman in a skirt. Let's make her look creepily young and give her big boobs.
I didn't get that from just the trailer I just watched. I thought it looked nice, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that Nintendo chose to cut the trailer a certain way so that it would not...
or just put her in certain outfits.
It's not in your face, but yeah, you will be able to change her outfits. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. Like it looked like it was running really well on Switch 2. It looked very nice. Then we got an Orbitals update, which I don't think there was any new content in this trailer from the last time.
No, basically we got a price and I don't know.
I think all they announced was that, because I think we already had the date. I think we knew it was September 3rd, but they announced that you could pre-order it today. Which, again, why are you pre-ordering a digital game 6 months out? Please, I am begging you on behalf of your wallet. Don't do that.
Don't worry, I'm going to pre-order Halo. So
great. I look forward to you talking about Halo on the show and not being happy about it.
Well, yeah, because I've never talked about Halo on the show before, so it'll be something new for everybody.
Never happened. Rayman Legends Retold, we more or less knew about. I think we talked about this a little bit last week.
The closing music, because
it's coming to Switch 2, surprising nobody. I think including us, where we said we'll hear about it next week.
That was one element, I guess, thinking about the show in general. It's the direct in general. It's a long direct. There was a lot there. A certain amount of that was kind of recapping things, kind of like you said, from past directs, like in the case of Orbitals, or things that have been announced in the days in the run-up for like platforms in general, outside of Nintendo, like with Rayman. So it did end up feeling, it depends obviously what perspective you're coming from when you're watching it, but if you've been keeping up with stuff to some degree, it did end up feeling like it dragged a little bit, just because, not every aspect of it was entirely novel.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of which, Big Walk, which is an extremely novel game, but this felt very much like the trailer they showed for Big Walk last time they showed Big Walk. It might have even been like some of the same shots. If you haven't seen Big Walk, it's from Panic. It is fucking strange. It is a multiplayer online game where your characters are basically like this blobs of shapes, and they're just set in the wilderness, like in a mountainous wilderness, and you're trying to get to places as a group and sort of explore. But your ability to communicate with them is limited. You can't just like voice chat with them wherever they are. Like if you're talking, they can only hear you if they're at earshot. But there are things that you can be louder, like like a megaphone. You can use. They had a scene where somebody was holding a sign with a message on it that basically said "I fell," and the only reason their friend could read it was they had a binocular, or they had a telescope, and they were able to look down at the person and see what the sign said. I want to say they showed smoke signals.
Someone used a flare.
Yeah, like this looks chaotic in the best possible way. Just silly and fun, and the kind of thing that is like the bullshit that we would get up to when we were doing Sea of Thieves, but with no stakes. Which is preferable in that respect.
Sea of Thieves had stakes?
Well, yeah, because we were being shot at.
Okay. All right. As opposed to like vomiting in a jail cell.
Yeah, well, yes, correct. That's a different kind of stakes.
Okay.
Or I need someone to navigate for me so I don't run aground. Oh, we ran aground.
I mean, it's a whole island, man. It's kind of hard to avoid. It's big, This is not if I have warning it's coming. It's big.
If you tell me it's coming, it's very easy to avoid. But it does seem to have that kind of just goofy multiplayer interaction energy. This did not differentiate very much from the trailer they showed last time. They showed some more tools you can use to communicate. They just showed some more scenes. And they gave us a date, which is in August. This actually looks really fun, and I would be very interested in playing it, God forbid, with you all, because this could just turn into dumb idiot hour. But I think this could be enjoyable in its own fun way. I don't know. Like I felt weirdly not. I don't want to use the word nostalgic because this is its own fucking thing. But watching people goof around just seemed like a lot of fun. I did catch Jeff Gerstmann talking about this game after the segment. He said that essentially, like, Panic has been running. Essentially, you can sign up to just demo it at their office, and people just playing it at their office in that setting, just as playtesting off the street, which I think is very funny. But I don't know. There's not a ton more to say. It's a house game, so it's gonna be a little silly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next thing up, we're going to spend way more time on this than we need to. I'm sorry. This is my moment. I'm going to fucking take it. One Piece : Grand Gourmet. I don't give a fuck about the One Piece franchise. I find it impossible to consume. But this is the second time we've had one of these fucking Kairosoft games on a Nintendo Direct, and I just can't handle this. This is a thing that, like, if you're not so deep in the goddamn eShop, well, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But these people make the same game over and over and over and over and over again, and just put a different name on it, and just keep fucking publishing them. There is a remarkable ability by them to produce hundreds of this game and do it in a way that is so remarkably indistinct from one another. I can't. Somehow they got the One Piece franchise and made a cooking game out of it thanks to Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco. I don't know why I fucked their name up like that. This comes out August 20th.
It should be Bandai Namco.
Yeah.
It should be Bandai. You're right. This comes out October 23rd, and what is like the video game apocalypse day, when there's like 30 games coming out that day for Switch and Switch 2.
Yeah, these are the guys who made Game Dev Story, right?
Yes.
Or Little Dev Story. I can't remember.
Like 9 years ago.
Right.
And they have basically just been making that game again in different settings ever since.
I remember, just every podcast I listened to was talking about Game Dev Story, and then, I never heard of them again, but they just keep making the same game.
I have played Game Dev Story. I don't think it's very good, but it's fine. It is indistinct, and that is the Kairosoft promise. It will be indistinct. If you don't believe me, go to the Nintendo eShop and just search for Kairosoft. You will be mortified by the sheer amount of just product. Actually, I just did it and the search failed. That's incredibly funny. What the fuck? Oh wow, I can't search by developer name anymore? Did they change that? All. Interesting. There we go. The sort by was only showing featured. They have already published just Switch 2 edition, Dreamtown Island. Wait, are these the same game? These are the same game. One must be an upgrade. Yeah, it is. Dreamtown Island, Skyship Quest Story, Demon Castle Story. Let's see. Let's keep going. Those are only Switch 2 ones. Okay. All right. That's not as bad as I thought. But they have probably north of 120 games. It's really hard to tell how many games they have. But if you look at them, they all look the same. They all look the same because they are all the same. They're all the same. They're the same game every time. So they made one of these now. This is the second time that they have managed to weasel their way into a Nintendo Direct, because they had the Doraemon Dorayaki shop story, which again, hey, it's a game about a famous anime franchise running a restaurant. In this case, it was dorayaki, which is what Doraemon likes to eat. But still, this is like, I don't want to use the word scam, because you're getting exactly what you ask for when you buy one of these things. But we'll say scam adjacent. I think they've really managed to make the most out of their development efforts. I gotta say, like part of me just kind of claps and is like, these motherfuckers. But part of me also had to play 3 of these things, and by the end of the third one, I was ready to just lie on the ground and never move again. They're the ones who made the city builder I talked about on the show that doesn't have any time acceleration. So you just have to sit there and watch it build for hours. Yeah, it was great. Kind of like a mobile timer game, but it's not meant to be one. They just kind of accidentally made a mobile timer game. Fucking unbelievable. Yeah, like the makers of Game Dev Story. Game Dev Story is listed as 2018. They also released Hot Spring Story. Venture Towns is the one I reviewed. Fuck that game. Grand Prix Story, a Pocket League Story, Epic Astro Story, World Cruise Story.
If you've got an interest, they've got a story for it.
Pretty much. And I'm not reading you all their ones. I'm just reading the ones they put story at the end of. So Anime Studio Story. What the fuck why is it just a giant ear of corn? Pocket Arcade Story, Tennis Club Story, Poolside Story. There's a one for baseball called Home Run High. The Ramen Sensei. It's about running a restaurant in a game that looks awfully similar to the one in the Direct, but doesn't have One Piece characters. I mean, very similar. As in, like, boy, that restaurant looks like it's laid out exactly the same way as the one from the demo. What the fuck? Silver Screen Story. Mega Ball Story 2, which implies there's a Mega Ball Story 1 that I didn't see. Basketball Club Story. Maybe not. Maybe they just started it with 2. I don't know. Fuck it. It just keeps going. Boxing Gym Story. Burger Bistro Story, which, again, looks very similar.
Look, if you optimize your kitchen, you end up looking like every other kitchen out there. That's just Hot Spring Story 2.
Nice. Forest Camp Story, which is not to be confused with the camp story we had earlier.
To be fair, the Hot Spring Story could not be contained by a single game. There's a lot to cover.
It had a lot of loose ends, right?
Yep.
Jumbo Airport Story. Dream Park Story. And I want to be clear. Alright. I'm going to give you all the a 30-day, let's do 60-day window. 60-day window in 2023. Starting with February 2nd. February 2nd, 2023. Jumbo Airport Story. February 22nd, 2023. 20 days later. Pocket Academy 0. March 2nd, 23. So this was not a leap year. So, 8 days later. Dream Park Story. March 30, 28 days later. Pocket Academy 3. These people will just put product out, and now we get more of it with a license for the second time in a Direct. Unbelievable. Moving on from this. I'd say moving swiftly on, but no. You all just needed to know that this is a thing. Hey John, there's something I wanted you to ask me. I remember what it was. Could you go ahead and ask about it now, please?
Am I supposed to know this?
You should.
We're at the Pokopia part of it.
Oh yeah, of course. The hey James, is there a way that I can go underwater and build things underwater?
Well, as of this moment, no. However,
in August,
those of you who remember last week, John asked me this question exactly. Is there a way I can go underwater and build things underwater? I referred him to my technique for replicating the creation of the Netherlands, which was to build water breaks and then drain them of water and then expand the land holdings. Nintendo heard this and in the 4-day window produced a DLC spin-off to Pokopia. No, not really. Where the trailer starts with Ditto getting a Squirtle tail and putting a bubble over its head and then walking underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And then showing us the, I can't remember what they call it, was like the Briny Beach or something, which is the next town they're going to add. So in August, we are getting what I anticipated, a new DLC town, for this game.
Yeah, this is similar to when I wanted a new version of Hot Shots Golf, and 5 days later, they announced a new version of Hot Shots Golf. And I was like, wow,
what I had wanted you to Bubbly Basin, excuse me. What I had wanted you is I had texted you is I wanted you to ask about me getting that $2 million paycheck.
Right.
Because apparently if you ask for things, it just happens.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The reason why I didn't ask is because I don't know how many charges I have left of this power. I don't want to.
Oh, I see.
Waste it,
I see.
You know?
Yeah, Pokopia is getting 2 new towns, one of which we know about is Bubbly Basin. It involves the goings of underwater, which is what John had requested. We will get new Pokemon. They showed Poplio, which ridiculous looking thing. In quote, late 2026, in a very Mario Kart 8 sort of way, just vaguely late 26, we will get something that is referred to simply as additional new features. What kind of new features? Additional ones. Which is an interesting phrase because I feel like additional and new are lifting the same weight here. But no context on what those features will be. It is not Bubbly Basin. It is not going underwater. And then in 2027, someday in 2027, additional new town. Do we have any details on new town? No, we do not. But you can give them your money. So John, this is coming out in August. When would you think I would be prompted to give them my money for unknowable content coming out in the future like this in August? In August?
Why not immediately?
Yeah. Congratulations, Sean. You can later today
no
as
better
of
time
Tuesday.
Than the present.
Mm-hmm. There was I did my dailies and I got an update for this fucking game for Pokopia. And the only thing the update added was the phone was always, I am mad at myself. I didn't notice the primary interface is the busted Pokedex. That's your like pause menu. There were 8 icons on a 3x3 grid. I'm so mad I never noticed that. But there were eight icons on a 3x3 grid, conspicuously leaving a spot open that was filled by this update, simply reading downloadable content, and it takes your ass straight to the eShop.
Yep. I saw that. I was like, man, what is this new icon in the bottom right corner? And it says, but the thing is, it just shows you, it just shows me the locked, it has the 3 slots and then it shows you the locked one on the left.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. If you click it now, they could have just labeled that button, give us money. It's so, because you're not getting anything. There's no, like, but Nintendo's done this in the past. You'd get some piece of bullshittery at, like, when you put the money in. And it's like, here's a shirt for Link because you bought the DLC and that's literally the only thing that's ready right now. In this case, you get fuck all. That's coming in August. Along with, like, so, like, I saw the update and I'm like, wait, did they put the power to go underwater? I thought that was in August too. And then I get in there and I was like, no, they did not. They put in the ultimate power, which is the power to give them more of my money.
Amen.
The underwater town, it looks big. I'm concerned by its size. I'm concerned that I'm signing up for more pain. But I'm gonna be curious how many Pokemon they add. That is a very interesting thing to me. But this game, I don't want to say it needed DLC. This is a huge fucking game. But from an economic imperative standpoint, this game needed DLC. Hold on. If you buy the expansion pass, you get 30 rare Pokemetal. I want to be clear. In my box right now, in my storage box, I have like 99 stacks of rare Pokemetal.
Yeah.
I have more rare Pokemetal than I need ever.
That stuff's not hard to get at all.
No.
So it would have been a better reward, like a shirt with a
an outfit would have been good. Yeah.
2? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Or something that gave you like 5 recipes that you don't have.
Right. Yeah. Like here's the book of lost recipes.
Yeah. Like that
Bam.
would have been amazing because you can as James and I have discussed, you can just go in this game forever and not have one of the most basic recipes for one of the things that you see at the very start of the game. But you just can't you can't fix something just because you don't have the recipe.
Right. I got 2 recipes in the last 6 days. 2 new ones. Like that's the pain.
I suppose you could, clone it with the 3D printer? Could you do that?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Yeah. Yep.
It would be expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yep.
But, like, I've got so much rare Pokemetal, which is basically what you use that for. Like, fuck it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I got that shit. That shit is raining down on me right now. I'm Scrooge McDuck over here with all the rare Pokemetal I got. So, like, 30 more of it is more of a threat. It's like, fuck, what am I going to do with... I'm going to have to build a 4th storage box. I don't want to do that. Like, I see Pokemetal now and, like, in its ore form, and I just walk past it. I'm like, I'm not mining that. Fuck you. I don't want any more of that shit. All right. Next up, Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave. We basically got a story trailer. We got to meet characters. People who are way into Fire Emblem lore have done the deep dive on like dates that show up on screen and figured out this is after 3 houses.
Like 600 years in the future.
Yeah, we see 2 characters that are in 3 houses in passing. One of them is very obvious. One of them is significantly less so, and I won't give the second one because it gives something away. But I'll let anybody. This comes out September 17th.
We did talk about this when they finally announced the release date for the Minoru Construct amiibo.
Yes,
being September 17th is like, well, it could be. A lot of the time these amiibo dates tie into software launches, even if they're not related. So that could be a date for something in the back half of the year, and it wouldn't have to be a Zelda thing either. And yeah, it turns out it's Fortune's Weave.
Yep. And I'm really excited by that trailer. It does look like it's building on the school stuff, although it's not technically a school setting from 3 Houses, but I don't know, it looks good. It looks interesting. Now I do worry that 3 Houses, like on the first playthrough, it was fine. On my 3rd playthrough, all of the like, I have to go talk to all the students so they like me. So when the time comes, I don't have to stick a knife in their face. I could just get them to come hang out with me. That shit got old after a while. And it feels like there's more of that now. But maybe but it also seems to be that there's more variety to it. So that might make it more palatable. I will say in, what was the one that came out a few years ago? The very VTuber looking one. Engage, yeah. That also had it, but it was so much worse because every character was the worst. Every character was somehow the worst simultaneously. So hopefully that's not the case here. These are good characters, not weird sycophants who watch you sleep and talk about how cute you are when you're a full-grown adult male and also a goddamn divine dragon. God, Engage is a weird fucking game. Engage is so fucking weird. Do you have thoughts on this one?
No, not especially.
No, I got nothing.
Well, it looks pretty promising, I suppose. But I'd still have to. I guess I've still got the question: of I'm going to squeeze in 3 houses beforehand? Because, as you said, it does seem like it's going to have at least some kind of connections, if not like be a sequel so direct that you would really, really need to have played the Forerunner to get the most out of it, but it seems like you might get more out of the narrative if you're familiar with these connections.
Yeah. The big one is Sothis shows up as an adult now at the end of the trailer and then swings an axe at the camera, which was interesting. But there's another character kind of lingering that if you look really hard appears to be a character from 3 Houses. But this was another one of the like, this game's a thing. Also, there's a special edition where you can get a wall map. if you are interested in putting up a wall map of the continent that this game takes place in, and there's an art book.
Yeah, I guess given, I mean, yes, it's coming out with Minoru. I'm almost a little bit surprised, maybe, given their newfound sort of enthusiasm for Amiibo again. That they're because I mean they did, the kind of was it a 2-pack for the Fire Emblem Echoes 3DS release, towards the end of 3DS and all that, the remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden. So, kind of, they've had previous in that regard, but no, not for this.
I mean, they could still announce them later, because I'm sure there'll be a direct about this game at some point.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, with Splatoon Raiders, there's the explicit, I think it's end of this month, like right at the end, there's going to be an explicit promise of a dedicated direct just for that game. And yeah, obviously with Fortune's Weave being September, a couple of months after Raiders, then yeah, you could project a sort of similar timeline. When it gets close to that, there'll be more. And yeah, some of the actual release dates and figures have been very belated, the Minoru one being a fine example of that.
So the next thing up, we're not going to spend much time on it. I'm dumbfounded that there is a sequel to Ninjala, which I only remember because they gave out the bats that you swing. This is the gum game, the gum ninja game, that they gave out inflatable bats at E3, and I beat the producer of the game the very first time I touched it. And I went, oh no, that's not a good sign. It was a weird demo, and it felt like nobody there had ever played the game before, and I'm like, you're making the game, what the fuck? But the interesting part is they refer to this as Part 1 launches exclusively September 2027. What the fuck does that mean? I don't have anything else to say about that, unless y'all want to really get into the Gum Ninja universe. Because I do have stuff to say about the next part. Cool. Let's talk about the DK challenge. Greg, how much of the DK challenge have you completed?
Well, the Nintendo Classics bit, so there's the stuff that just works by doing, like, the NSO app games.
Yes.
I ripped through those pretty quickly, because they're all...
I've also finished those.
None of them are very long. I think the longest one is beating K. Rool in the original DK6.
Yes, because he's got a million forms.
It's the last boss. It has the fake out ending and all that. But it's still, compared to, I don't know, analogous encounters in more recent games, it's still pretty quick. So it's, and then all the others, I mean, it's just like complete like one screen of Donkey Kong 3 or whatever, which might still have set the record for the most time I've ever spent with Donkey Kong 3. And I definitely set the record for the most time I've ever spent with Donkey Kong Jr. Math. I've never touched it before, but for this, I have now, played a bit of it. So, yay. But yeah, it was easy to rip through them all. It's so good. That was, it was kind of interesting just like seeing them experiment in this way, so many years in that, because it was, funnily enough, it was just the basic tier kind of NSO apps that had these DK challenges, right? Like it was because we did just went and talked about it, but it already happened last week, but DK64 has arrived on the N64 app as part of the expansion pack. And of course you've got stuff like the original version of Mario vs Donkey Kong on the GBA app, which is part of expansion pack and whatnot. So they had stuff in the expansion pack apps that could have fit into this, but they didn't choose to include any of that. It was just the basic tier ones, which we got a solitary DK for Game Boy /94, however you want to refer to that, game got a challenge, which is if like I say, it's interesting what they're doing here, like what the purpose of it is, of like, okay, let's just take a character, focus on that character, and use it as a kind of device for raising awareness of the range of things that exists that you have access to as part of being a Switch Online subscriber. If it gets anybody to actually play Donkey Kong for Game Boy that otherwise wouldn't, it's a good thing, because it's, you know, a firm contender for one of the best Game Boy games, and I would hope more people could discover it somehow.
If you hadn't played that game, though, that stage might not be super clear what it wants you to do, because I had to spend a minute on it.
Yeah, no, because it is a little, it's kind of, you might think it'd be more from like the start of the game, like, because certainly like DKC, they've got a lot of stages, right? They've got a lot of different DKC challenges, and it goes from literally the first level of the first DKC to the last boss fight to stuff from 2 and 3, you know, so that's like a range of the most basic to more advanced, whereas that just feels like something plucked right from the middle of the game. Like, it could have been part of the, you know, the introductory sequence, which references the original Donkey Kong, couldn't it?
Right.
You know, but I guess the fact that they've got challenges from at least, you know, the NES version of the original Donkey Kong, maybe they felt like that wasn't the most wise place to, but they could have done more than one. I mean, they did loads of DKC
they
ones,
could have.
multiple Donkey Kong Land.
Now, if you just sit on the screen for these, it'll show you like a little video of somebody doing the challenge. And in that particular case, it shows you where you need to put the expansion plate, and that's what it does.
Ah, right, yeah. And I mean, look, it's all very generous, because again, it just feels like it's kind of like an advertisement of sorts, a demonstration for NSO, because it's like, it is always, you might set out one of these challenges, and if you screw it up, it's like, oh, do you want to start it over, or do you want to rewind a bit? You know,
right.
It feels like it's demonstrating that this is something you can do if you didn't know. You know, like, yeah, you could play classic games, and if you mess up, you can rewind it, and then you could still get credit for doing that challenge. But I guess the more important thing is just like, this is a thing. You can do this, which obviously none of us need to know. But I guess for us, we get collectible cards with renders of characters from the 90s. What do they call it? ACM, Advanced Computer Models, or whatever.
So I have all the classic ones, and if you've beaten Bonanza, at least if you've beaten as thoroughly as I did, when you boot it up, you get like 9 of those right out of the gate. A bunch
of them straight away, yeah.
The ones I'm missing, so I have everything that's not the developer challenge ones. And
no, I guess the problem with the Bonanza ones, I've not looked into them as much, but the problem with the Bonanza ones is that you have to go find them, right? Like, it can't just warp you into the spot the way that it can with the NSO stuff. So it's like, okay, yeah, like you said, you've got demonstrations, so, you know, you can look at the video and sort of say, oh yeah, I remember that, but it's not the same, is it? It's not as jumping. I mean, the one thing that occurred to me that would be easy enough to try would be, there's one that's for getting a certain amount of gold in a bonus room thing. The golden bonus rooms that you get in Bonanza. And I was like, oh, well, there's loads of those on the extra island, on, you know, the recreation of the DK64 hub world that you get, right? For having the DLC. So I'm like, I could just do one of those and get it that. And then I went in there and got like I felt like I did about as well as I normally did in those rooms back when I was playing it, you know, more regularly when it was new. And I had about a third of the gold that I needed. I was like, well, fuck if I know. I'm going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I try, like, those challenges are what I have poked at them seem brutal. So I don't know if I'm going to get them, but I will say the monthly challenge that's going on right now, while everybody's dressed like fucking Mario and I'm getting coin blocks and it's playing Mario music slightly too loud, so it's kind of annoying. Is by far the hardest one of these challenges yet.
I mean, I've only had like 2 goes at it, but absolutely nowhere near. Just nowhere near. Like I was, so it is kind of like, and that snake one was really hard as well. So I think they've just moved past where I can even compete at this point with these challenges.
I cracked the mystery on the snake one. Like once I figured out what they wanted me to do, it wasn't so bad. This one, there doesn't appear to be any trick to it. It's just the canyon layer is an absolute nightmare to navigate if you don't have all your upgrades. And so it's hard to get from A to B. It's hard to move quickly between the challenges. What it seems to want you to upgrade for is the crocodile attacks, but those really only show up when the challenge dictates there's one of those around. So there's a certain amount of like, is there a crocodile around right now? No. Well, then I can't do the crocodile thing because there's none for me to kill, which makes it hard for me to kill them. But it's I'm going to keep taking swings at it this weekend because I want to get it. What I don't understand is they talked about the Mario one has waves, but is there actually anything you unlock in the Mario one, or is it just like, look at this weird shit we did to the stage?
I guess you get the music, you get the cosmetic changes, you get Pauline in a Luigi outfit. That's
with the mustache. Yeah. All right. So they talked about the waves, and I'm like, but what do the waves indicate? Because as near as I can tell, there's nothing to be earned here. I'm
assuming it's just they're going to have a succession of these sorts of challenges that are going to have these kinds of cosmetic, wrinkles.
I guess. I will say I really enjoyed the DK challenge stuff that we got. Because those challenges is particularly the ones that were for the classic games. It was just fun being able to drop in and drop out. Like I cleared them in 20 minutes. Didn't take me very long.
No, because it is just taking you straight to that part of the game, and most of them aren't that difficult, right? That's not the point. Like I said, it mostly feels like it's kind of, like I said, doubling up as, an activity for more veteran players that they can rip through really fast, and an advertisement maybe for other people who are not as familiar with what the Switch Online, can offer. But, no, it's just interesting timing and everything. I guess that was the thing is, with the, the Switch Online kind of app thing on the, the system menu, like they always have different things per month, like for icons. And this month, it's been DK themed, and it felt a little bit weird. It's like, well, we haven't hit the kind of anniversary bonanza yet, and
right,
but then 64 came out, and then we had all this, so it started to make a bit more sense in terms of, right, it's part of this broader, like, we're just going to spotlight DK this month, but did also kind of feel like still like why is Donkey Kong getting the big push on this just shy of the anniversary bonanza? It kind of feels a bit out of place, but also it's probably, I can only assume, some kind of like pilot, if you like, for doing similar things with other characters, that also would have a variety of games across the different platforms on NSO that they could do in the future.
Yeah, I would love to see more of these, because I think it was fun to go in there, and they did a nice job picking different challenges from different games and different eras of DK. I don't know what would make sense to be next, but I'd love for them to keep doing this. I want to say Lords of the Fallen was next, according to my notes. Oh, no, Jujutsu Kaisen, Vampire Survivors was next. Does anybody have any great affinity for the JJK franchise that wants to talk about it?
None.
I watched a few seasons.
Okay.
It looks like it looks a little bit crappy to me, but that's just the Vampire Survivor look, I guess. Just very kind of low, very pixelated, not terribly animated sprites, and they just keep coming at you, and you keep exploding them. But this is kind of an interesting spin on it, though, because I haven't played Vampire Survivors in a long time. Is it now a multiplayer competitive thing?
Yeah, you can play online with multiple.
Okay.
It's not competitive, but you can play online co-op if that's what you're wondering.
So yeah, because that's the thing, right? Co-op, I knew about that. I knew they had added that, but like this is a Vampire Survivor like from the Vampire Survivor people, where you can basically gain like your perks or whatever that you unlock. You can throw something in the gears of like another player, basically. Like so, it's kind of like WarioWare-esque, kind of like I'm like messing with people. So that seems interesting, and there seems to be like 8 people playing at the same time at least.
You get power-ups when you do stuff that you can unleash on other players, or which are effectively power downs for them.
Yes, exactly.
Little Mario Kart-ish.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when it's down to 2 players, they just fight each other directly. Like I'm pleased it's not just Vampire Survivors with a different coat of paint on it.
Yeah.
Which they absolutely could have gotten away with, but they didn't. So I appreciate that. All right, now I think my notes are correct that Lords of the Fallen 2 was next.
Yes.
Does anybody have anything to say about Lords of the Fallen 2? It looked nice.
I know absolutely nothing about Lords of the Fallen.
It looked weirdly nice.
Yeah. Is it the Dark Souls-like?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I know about it.
Yeah, it is. But then the funny thing is we got another one after that to a certain degree with Lies of P.
Yeah.
Back to back, which I never put together despite Lies of P being a big game that P is Pinocchio. Motherfucker. Really? Yeah, I never played it. So it's one of those things. But they call it out very explicitly in the trailer and even show the lie versus truth mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
This was our Souls-like section of the broadcast, I guess. This is the complete edition, so it has the DLC, which other platforms will have to buy.
I can only assume that Nintendo in the future is going to alternate, like the cozy farm sims and the Dark Souls like every other direct. Great. So this will be this is our character action direct, and the next direct will be the cozy farm life direct. I'll deal with that, which makes sense because there was like 9 cozy themed directs in the week before. So like, fuck it, we don't need to go down this road again. Devil May Cry 5 is coming to Switch in the year of our Lord 2026. I want to say I saw this game in 2019 when Matt Walker was showing it off. When I ran into him at E3. It's been around a while. Yeah.
It's been around a fucking long ass time, but finally coming to Switch. I don't have anything else to say. Like,
it's generally well liked, I think.
Yeah. It has some new content. It's very well liked.
Mm-hmm.
It was extremely well received. But it is 7 years old.
Right.
It does appear to have some new content, but it appears that it is largely the same game. When I say new content, I mean like some new weapons. But it's the news, I guess, is that it's coming out probably at full price, but I don't think we know the answer to that yet.
Yeah, I think this was one that was kind of spoiled by ratings boards or something. It was not a shock, I think, to anyone that this was coming.
Speaking of old games, hey, Muramasa is coming to Switch 2 and Switch in early 2027.
This was one of the ones, that did have a Switch component at least, yeah.
This was Muramasa the Demon Blades. This new version is called Revenant Blades, which is basically the same thing.
Sure, well, yeah.
Well,
but,
you get additional playable characters. Like that's
I was going to say,
the name is basically the same thing.
I was going to say, though, there was a Vita version of it. It's just a date.
There was.
How bloody ancient this game is.
This game is old.
Because it was on Wii originally, and then there was a Vita version.
2008, I think.
I did play the Wii version. We talked about it back then on RFN, because this podcast is ancient enough for that. But I didn't play the Vita version, so I'm not sure. Do you know anything about how much of this stuff is entirely kind of additional, or is just additional if you didn't play the Vita version?
I have the Vita version, but I have no clue. I have not played it in probably 10 years.
It looks really... This is going to look really good in 4K.
Oh, sure. Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, the art was very strong even back then on Wii, but that had its limitations, being in standard def at that time. But I can only imagine if this is all done properly, it should be extremely attractive.
I would love for them to release a Switch 2 of Unicorn Overlord. Please. Let me give you my money so I have an excuse to play this fucking game for 90 hours for a third goddamn time. Because remember, my second playthrough was I wanted specifically to see the 5th mission again because it does something kind of weird. And I ended up just playing the whole goddamn game.
That's momentum for you, I suppose.
Like that game was really good and I would like to play it again. If you could make a Switch 2 version, I would be your best friend.
So Wikipedia says that the Rebirth, the PlayStation Vita version, was supported by downloadable content in the form of Genroku Legends, 4 self-contained stories based on Japanese folklore. So basically, Revenant Blades has that content and some additional upgraded graphics and added gameplay options. So I don't know if we're getting new content, but we're getting all the previous content.
Yeah, because I want to say the original game was like 2028, 2029, and then the Vita one was like 2012-ish.
It was a few years afterwards, It had to be, just because the Vita wasn't around
Vita wasn't out yet.
But it was a relatively early, Vita sort of life cycle game. But, it's obviously the memories are pretty dim at this point, I'll concede. But basically, visually outstanding, relative to anything that was around on Wii, like 2D.
Vanillaware does good art.
I guess you could say like Wario Shake It would be like the closest thing I can think of to anything like as nice. Obviously very different style, but in terms of like just really nicely presented 2D games on Wii. Mm-hmm. But yeah, pretty much in a class of its own visually. The combat, was pretty satisfying, but you did have this sort of, I don't know whether you really call it a Metroid style game, but you do get like kind of just, it's more like the sort of aspects of the level design in a Igavania, the symphony style Castlevania games, which just like, there's this open. It's kind of open space, but it's basically just a corridor to kill things. And I don't know if this really, it's adding hours on the clock. I don't know if it's adding anything other than that, really. That's my sort of abiding memory of it. Is it's like, the core aspects are very strong, but their attempts to kind of string things together into a bigger whole to, sort of get positive reviews for like how substantial the game is were, not entirely successful.
Yeah, I remember it being fairly repetitive, and what you're doing at the beginning of the game is the same by the end of it.
It's just you're more powerful and they're more powerful.
Yeah.
I agree. That is my memory of the game as well. I remember thinking it was very pretty and being very excited for it after I saw an E3 demo, but then playing it all, I was like, this could used to be a little more different as it goes. All right. We're at the quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have more from the Direct. This felt like a nice little pausing point because we're about to kick off a whole bunch of other stuff. So, we will be back in, I believe the song is like 6 seconds. We are back with more coverage of the Direct. I'm going to try to get a little bit more like, hey, let's just talk about our reaction to it rather than running down the news. You saw the Direct too. Also. So we're going to combine the next few segments because this is the Xenoblade Power Hour of the Direct, where they announced a Switch 2 version of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't want to say 1 because it's not in the name. The first Xenoblade Chronicles game. This is all right, we have it. We have a double edition. I put this in my notes.
Yeah, and Xenoblade X Switch 2 edition also was a double edition, right?
Yeah, well, this was what my notes say. We have our second double edition.
Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Find a different... They could have just dropped the definitive edition. They could have just dropped it. They could have just said, like, we're going to get the fuck out of here. We're going to drop that. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Nintendo Switch edition, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. What's funny is Xenoblade Chronicles, the original, is not a full remake. It is a very elaborate reworking of the original Xenoblade Chronicles release. So this is now like an up-resed version of an upgraded version of the original game, I guess.
Yeah, because there were still elements in the game logic that were kind of the same. It's a little bit like what we talked about Star Fox 64 3D, right? In terms of like the popping on objects and stuff is just like it was still tied to the way it worked on Wii, even on Switch, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very odd, like, place we're at now with this game. But this game is this was the Shadow Drop, the first Xenoblade Chronicles update. It's 1080p 60, which is great. That's awesome. That somehow applies to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I need to fucking see that.
Yeah, so they're getting kind of paced out throughout the remainder of the year, right? It's kind of like so 3 will be at the end of the year and 2 will be, just pretty much equidistant between then and now.
So 2's in July, I believe, and then 3 is in
sooner than I remembered. Actually,
July 30th, according to my notes, which may or may not be right. October 1st is when the physical edition comes out.
I think there's different dates for because they're doing the sort of full price if you're buying it, as a game card, and then the upgrade packs. I assume it's $10 because it's like £8 over here.
Yeah. Sounds right. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is December 3rd for both the physical and the upgrade. But yeah, the physical of Xenoblade Chronicles comes out the same day as the digital of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's weird. July 30th. That's weird. Unless my notes are wrong. Nope, they're not. I found the video. They are... What the fuck? That's weird, Nintendo. What's interesting is Xenoblade Chronicles, you get new high-speed vehicles, some new equipment, and more voice lines. That's already out. So people are already playing that. There's new It's Rhyme Time dialogue. Multiple times of Rhyme now making jokes of things like, you know what time it is.
I guess it's the tried and true formula at this point of like here's high speed vehicle
I was laughing about this.
The system can cope with it loading faster. That's what you do.
I was talking about this with the girlfriend. I'm like, every time they do one of these things, they give the main character new high-speed vehicles to see if it fucks the game up.
It traces all the way back to the blessed Swift sale in Wind Waker HD, yes, I guess.
It's just we gotta fuck things up with this thing and see if we can make it load faster. There is apparently like racing in this as well, like weird kart racing shit with these things that they've added.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's weird. Xenoblade 2, they're giving you more direct control of the blades in battle, which I'd have to think about what that would mean in the context of that combat stuff.
Yeah, because I played Torna a few years ago, but that works differently. It does than the base game. So it's just been rather a long time since I actually engaged with the battle system as it was.
There's a new rare blade and blade quest, which there's like 40 rare blades in this game. This is a very small edition. And then there's new equipment designs for Pyra and Mithra, which I'm going to guess is probably more coverage if I had to make a guess.
Well, they already had that, right? Because I know when I played Torna, Mithra was like automatically in a Smash Brothers outfit, which was less ridiculous. Like, so yeah, so this must be new, different outfits, presumably.
Yeah, I guess. It could be design. It's not going to be designs for their swords, the Monados, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3 gets even. This is the funny part. It's like as they've moved on, like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 gets carts and weird shit. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is like, man, it runs now. Like, what do you want from us? Xenoblade Chronicles 3 gets new hero quest and new hero and hero quest. So this is basically the equivalent. So Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a shitload of heroes. So getting another one is, I guess, a thing. Some new voiced event scenes, which makes sense because they have a new hero quest. They're going to need voiced event scenes. And then basically a horde mode where you just get to fight waves of enemies until you can't anymore.
Yeah.
All right. It's fine. I don't think I needed any of that, but you know what? I'll still give them the money. But that wasn't enough because then they announced another Xenoblade game.
Yeah.
Xenoblade Genesis from
If you
Switch
felt
2
like
natively.
it was building up to something, that pace of like, we're going to just have a little breadcrumb of Xenoblade upgrades through the rest of this year. Was it leading to something next year? Yes, it was.
Yeah. So that is roughly, using my times for those games, that is roughly about 350 hours of gameplay at those 3 upgrades. If you were to play all of them, that is a shitload of content. But we got what they said from the early portion of Xenoblade Genesis. Seems to be a more high fantasy setting than the previous ones.
Definitely.
Yeah, it does seem more like kind of anime take on medieval fantasy than the kind of. There's always been elements of that in the Xenoblade games, but and obviously, especially after the first one, they got more kind of conventional anime in look.
They did.
But they also had the more sci-fi kind of quality to them,
right?
Which this seems like. I'm sure it will still have those. I mean, certainly just
sure
that landscape, especially we get the big panorama where it's almost like. It's a little bit reminiscent of the end of Interstellar, if you remember that, where you get like the kind of they've conquered time and space, and they've got crazy space stations in the future and stuff, and the curvy of sort of, landscapes in curvature, except these were like, concave instead of convex, so there's still some sci-fi elements in there, and I would imagine that they will probably unfurl in the narrative if they're following, Xenoblade kind of conventions. Not that I expect this to be like particularly dependent on prior knowledge of the game. That even with stuff like 3, it wasn't. They tried to make the main cast like not as directly connected to the previous games as some of the ancillary characters. I think to make it more standalone, even if it was connected to previous games, and that this should be even more so, right? Because like you said, it's called Genesis. They're actually dropping the Chronicles finally.
They are.
Which is, it's overdue in a lot of ways. The Chronicles
it's
thing,
an artifact of a different era.
Exactly. It just kind of felt like it was a case of, okay, they've called it, because of course it was going to be called Monado, Beginning of the World. That was what we knew the game as at one point, which, it pretty much is Genesis, isn't it? But
they basically just North America's like, you can't call it Monado Beginning of the World. And so they're like, fine, fuck you. We're going to call it Xenoblade Genesis. It's the same thing.
It's all these years later, we've come around to functionally the same title. But I guess I understand it was Nintendo that said, basically suggested Xenoblade, that it should have the Nintendo in Japan suggested that we should have a connection to Monolith's previous works, Xenoblade Saga, and so forth. So it became Xenoblade. And I assume when Europe localized it, they looked at that and thought, that sounds like a fighting game or something, or like a Warriors game, or is it so we want to put Chronicles to make it more sort of obvious that this is
the Too Many Cooks
made real. This is an RPG. So you ended up with a sort of title that had one sort of purpose on one. It's like, Monolith, they've got a reputation. We bought them. They've got this reputation based on Xenogears and Xenosaga. We should leverage that. And then on the other hand, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't really sound like an RPG though, does it? So, but all these years later, it's like, no, we don't need that anymore. People know what Xenoblade is, to some extent now. So let's just drop that. But bring back Genesis.
The panorama shot was a good call out. The fact that they refer to this as the land warmed by the 6 suns, and the suns don't appear to be orbiting the sun. It appears to be going the other way. But that panorama shot, the sky is water. Like it is. No,
it's like you're inside
torus, essentially.
You're inside a ball and it's coated in landscape. Like like I said, it's like inverted, basically. So there's on the one hand, there's this what seems to be really quite kind of typical, I guess, like RPG. I mean, I imagine maybe some people were rolling their eyes a little bit at the Academy like setting and stuff because it's like, well, isn't this Fire Emblem Three Houses or isn't this like Persona or something? But I mean, for me personally, I've not played Three Houses yet. I have not played a mainline Persona game. I just played Q2. But so I wouldn't be fatigued by that at all. But I kind of get it. Maybe just the feeling of like, is it just getting more and more kind of conventional? You know what I mean? Like, is it getting away from Xenoblade's particular kind of alchemy of elements? But the big the weirdness of the world and the promise of the wrath of a fallen god and stuff. It's just like, no, I feel like as it unfolds, we'll probably get the things
the vengeance of a fallen god has yet to be fulfilled, which, given how this series works, means we're going to end up in a situation at some point in the near future, or we're going to be looking, it's going to be fucking Zanza over there just in a bad mood, and it'll be like, God damn it, you're still around? Motherfucker! I mean, there is like a 200,000 year gap in the Xenoblade 2 timeline between the world is created and stuff is happening. So like they can stick this wherever the fuck they want, and there's nothing we can do about it. They'll just
especially if you played Future Redeemed, there was a pretty sort of strong sense of finality to that. I feel like whatever connections there be to other. Not necessarily even just Xenoblade, but like Monolith games in general will probably be more thematic and oblique than, direct. Because I'd probably just feel like, we again, even with 3, which kind of
chapter 13 of X, man.
I don't know how strongly they're going to lean on that for anything, because the other thing about chapter 13 of X is just like, multiverse, so it's almost like, it is connected, but everything's connected and everything's true and everything isn't true, and who gives a shit? I mean, that is kind of where you get to with that.
It's the radio broadcast more than the, like, I can see all the parallel realities where I'm like, really? We're doing this? All right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that was, the radio thing was kind of fun, and I guess kind of,
it's a deep cut.
A fan
you had to know the context.
Kind of thing for people, does this resonate with you, does this not? Kind of, it's a sort of test almost, for how much you've been with Monolith over the years. But, I feel like, it did fit obviously Xenoblade X for Switch came after Future Redeemed, but Future Redeemed kind of felt like, we're putting a bit of a full stop at the end of this, and it's going to be even more of a break the next time you get a new game. And like I said, even 2 and 3 went to quite significant lengths to make the main cast just feel like, it's their journey. It's not all about other characters and events and themes from previous games.
3 is even 3, because the world is so fucked. there are hooks there that you can tie into to go like, oh, okay, this is like the world is more than anything like recognizing elements of the world, but there are story hooks where you're like, oh, that's connected to these characters. I see.
Yeah, they tried to. I think they tried pretty hard, and it's hard to know obviously exactly how successful they were to make it work sort of in parallel tracks almost, right? You know, for people who are familiar with the first two games, you're seeing the blending that's going on, the resonance, and the soundtrack of, you know, where it's like blended bits together from the two soundtracks and stuff. It's like, yeah, you really get that. But on the other hand, it should kind of work independently of that as well for people who are just playing it for the first time. Again, I can't put myself in the other place, right?
Oh, so absolutely.
I think they did a decent job of it, but you know, it is kind of theoretical.
I think so. But Future Redeemed is the exact opposite. Where
Future Redeemed is like,
if you haven't played everything, get fucked. We don't want you here.
But that Future Redeemed kind of shows I think it shows you what they avoided doing with the main game. Right? It's like we siloed a lot of it off into this extra thing, kind of for the really familiar, the really interested parties in the previous games.
Did you remember that Zeke wanted to write a children's book about his adventures? I hope you remembered it because it's an important plot point for this character's side story. It's like, what? What the fuck? I didn't remember that. Somehow I forgot that important detail about Thunderbolt Zeke. And all the things I should remember about that motherfucker, the fact that he wanted to write a children's book was lost on me. I apologize. That's a me problem.
They went pretty deep on that, but it also kind of felt like, we're doing that. We're kind of giving you some resolutions, fan servicey kind of stuff, and that's it. Basically, I mean, it's really final. The end of it, considering it's like it's DLC, and technically it happens before the end of the game.
It does. It's really final, but also really it's not final at all.
It's like, don't ask us for anything else with that. It's over. I kind of hope they'll honour that to a large degree and just have this be, again, I expect themes, definitely. That's pretty much baked in. But I hope it's as kind of individual as it can be. And one thing that's kind of interesting that I've seen is apparently Shimomura is back. For the first time since the original Xenoblade, Shimomura is on a Xenoblade game again.
They did this. That fucking memory stone looks a lot like a core crystal, which is in and of itself a memory stone. So there is a certain amount of
Yeah, well, also just seems a bit like Materia, having played Final Fantasy VII Remake just recently.
I did notice that the characters have elf ears, though, which I don't believe any of the characters have in Xenoblade games previous to this.
Oh, what about Pandoria, though? Did she have?
Well, the Blades might have, but the Blades.
But that obviously some of that is just because the complete absence of consistent art direction in the second game.
I hired anime artists I like and told them go nuts, and this guy drew a bear with tits.
But as a sort of like baseline, for a whole bunch of characters. No, so that I think that's what we said about the sort of anime medieval fantasy thing. It does, that's part of why you come away with that impression.
Yeah, which they could also just be like, hey, this is a super long time ago, so they had pointy ears. Fuck it, who cares? But then again, like, we know Klaus is a huge fucking nerd, so maybe Klaus originally created a world full of elves. Oh my god. If I swear to God, if he shows up in this game, I'm going to lose my goddamn shit. I'm going to be like, no, fucking stop it. Stop it. Hey, Woohoo Island's back. Which is funny because I heard somebody complain. I hate that Nintendo doesn't go to Woohoo Island anymore. This is the most awkward name in a long time. So, if for those of you who weren't around for it, Nintendo had very, very specific naming conventions when speaking about Wii. John, what were you allowed to call that system?
Oh, I mean, you had it was Nintendo Wii all caps, right?
No, it's just Wii. Just Wii.
Was it just Wii?
It was not.
You weren't allowed to say Nintendo.
It was Nintendo DS. Yes.
Right.
Wii was just Wii, and it was not the Wii. It sure as shit wasn't Nintendo Wii. It was simply Wii.
Man, I guess my brain has broken the Nintendo shackles, and I was thinking with independent thought.
This is fine for Wii Sports, and then by extension, Wii Sports Resort, because it's like Wii Sports. Got it. It's a sports game for Wii. Perfect. This is Wii Sports Resort. It's a add-on to Wii Sports. Cool. It's not really an add-on. It's a sequel. This is a problem now when we go to Switch, because Nintendo reverted to their old naming conventions of every system is Nintendo something. So the Switch is officially Nintendo Switch. You don't call it Nintendo, you don't call it just Switch or the Switch. It is Nintendo Switch. So now we have Nintendo Switch Sports, which we had before, is a mouthful. Now it's Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, which is just stupid.
And also, it is not actually available for Nintendo Switch.
No!
It's available for Nintendo Switch 2 exclusively.
That's so my notes just have the words Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, not for Nintendo Switch.
Yes, it's Nintendo Switch, not one.
It's so result. Weird. But I get why, because then it would have been Nintendo Switch 2 Sports Resort, which I kind of wish it was, because the logo already looks like a nightmare.
If it had been cross-platform, Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition.
Yes, that would have been exquisite, wouldn't it?
So there are four words in this title with 4 different fonts because they had to make it all fit. Now, in one case, it's just different font sizes, but Nintendo Switch are their own font face. Nintendo is a smaller font. Because they had to fit it between the R and the S of sports and resort. Why did they have to fit it there? I don't know. Designers are fucking weird, man. And then resort in huge oh my god, this logo is a nightmare. I kind of want to print this out and bring it to like designers at work and go, what do you think of this logo? And just watch them melt the fuck down. It's amazing. But we get
they're just trying to compete with the long titled manga and anime. I can't believe I've been thrown on Woohoo Island at the Nintendo Switch Sports Resort with my cute little sister.
They've made 12 more of these things and put me on this island.
Do you think the said many times the scenario where the robots from the end of AI are doing their archaeology on our civilization, they will think, I can't believe it's not butter was an anime.
Well, it was a light novel. Thank you. It's Switch Sports. All right, but it's Switch Sports, but now it's the resort form of that. 12 mini games, a bunch of ones coming back, using the Joy-Con 2 controls. Like, I kind of thought Nintendo Switch Sports for Nintendo Switch, didn't feel that interesting. I get it, like, the Wii Sports was a long time ago, and Wii Sports Resort was a long time ago, but it just didn't feel like it had the same energy. It kind of felt like when Microsoft did their Kinect Sports, and it felt like a weird bootleg version of it.
Yeah. Well, it didn't help with the... Guillaume's talked about this before, but the freaking weird...
Spocko characters, the sports... Yeah. What did they call them?
They've got a name, haven't they? I've forgotten what it is, but I read it, and I was like, ugh, they've called them something. Right. It's by a degree of revulsion. However, you can actually play as a Mii in this game. You can.
So but the issue with the original Nintendo Switch Sports is that you could unlock all sorts of costumes. Like, that was pretty cool, but it was only for the new character designs. If you were playing as your Mii, you could not wear the costumes, and like wearing weird costumes is like the whole point of something like Mitomo or Miitopia or Tomodachi Life. Like that's so yeah, it didn't make sense. Like to have 2 different competing, somewhat customizable avatars. But like the Miis are a whole lot more customizable than the sports guys ever were. Like no matter what you do, they seem to look like
Sportsmate is what they call them.
Oh god. Ugh. And yeah,
The revulsion. I revile the Sportsmates.
It's so bad. They're so generic looking. Like they really, but it's so weird. It's a weird thing to say relative to me's, but they are. They're just so devoid of personality.
But that's the thing. Like if you go back and look,
they kind of look like the kind of characters you expected something like that was knocking off Pokemon.
Connect Sports.
3D. Well, yeah, true, but like 3D Pokemon games. Like if somebody was doing
Ninjala again.
Yeah,
yes.
Something like that. It doesn't seem.
You're right. They feel weirdly generic, despite the fact they're clearly way more detailed. It's weird. Like one of the things that I took away from Connect Sports is it's too detailed, which is a stupid sentence to say out loud. You sound like a crazy person. But like Wii Sports Resort had more detail than Wii Sports, but still, it was still very like, it's like almost Playmobil playset level of detail.
It's shiny. It looks, looks cool.
It looks nice. So the resort is named Spoko Resort. That's where that came from. Mm-hmm. Why did the resort need a name? It never had a name. But just leave it alone. Just call it Woohoo Island. But yeah, it's Spoko Resort with your Sportsmates.
The Sportsmates have taken over Woohoo Island. It's never going to be the same again.
Sportsmates are running the asylum. I want to say, I want to give Nintendo credit on this one though. They managed to they put thumb wrestling in here, which was weird. And then they made that segment as awkward as they could possibly make it, with the giant thumbs and the like close shot of Koizumi's face and like the weird hand camera. Who did not seem to be
enjoying it. Like he did not seem to be having fun.
No, he didn't.
Like why? But like I guess it worked because like that's the only thing I took from this direct afterwards.
We had Koizumi's hand in a white void and Koizumi's face in a red void. It's so weird. It's such a weird to the point where I'm wondering like, okay. So I was watching this on my second watch through, like trying to figure out if his hand gestures map to what his body is doing. Or like, did they shoot the hand and the upper body separately? And they do. They match perfectly. They actually shot his hand over a white void and his face over a green screen and put the red void behind him. This is fucking weird, man. This is how they spent 45 seconds of this direct. Was Koizumi going, "Garr!" as he shakes his head. It's so much weirder in the European one, because in the North American, this is the thing. In the North American directs, they always voice over the Japanese speakers. And they use the same translator on a per person basis. Like, it's consistent. In the European ones, they just subtitle it. So, like, there's this weird, like, anti-verisimilitude of the narrator just kind of, like, speaking over Koizumi, because he's not really, he's putting an emotion on there, but it feels very inauthentic. It being his actual voice somehow makes it stranger. Like, the trailer going, oh, he broke out. And, like, this weird, like, fake surprise is like, okay, whatever. Like, they're aware this is fucking strange. Him actually saying it feels so much weirder. But the giant thumbs are unsettling. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. I don't want it. Please make it stop. I don't know. I'll probably buy this.
I thought I played Switch Sports so much less than I thought I would. I
had the same problem, but like, I don't know. This feels like they're doing weirder shit. Like skateboarding is done through mouse controls. That feels like a really terrible idea, and I kind of want to see it.
Yeah,
it feels like they had much more. It feels like they had a lot more freedom on this one, so I want to see how dumb it gets.
Well, they're saying they're looking at like, oh, we have this mouse input, so let's just fuck around with it.
Right, and they're like, what sport can we kind of make this look like? I don't know, skateboarding?
Yeah.
And they're just like, sure, I guess. Skateboarding, done. Next.
And given the history of the sports resort franchise, like, now we can basically, we know that Link is going to skateboard through Hyrule.
Fucking yay, let's do it! Let's do it! That's way more interesting than what they announced later.
And you just know that you're going to thumb wrestle Ganon.
Yep.
That's
happening. You know what? we basically already did that with the stupid goat herding thing.
But there'll be like a thumb wrestling. Isn't it all cute and idyllic when you're doing the thumb wrestling tournament at the start of the game in the equivalent of Ordon Village? But then it's going to come back later with the giant god thumb. And your god thumb has got to take on his.
I don't even want to change topics because I just want to think more about. I want to like role play out the god thumb more.
Guillaume's right. It's a repeatable formula. It's a good to get ready.
Because the next thing is RuneScape Dragon Wilds, and I couldn't be fucking. You couldn't pay me to talk about a fucking RuneScape game in the year 2026. What the fuck are we doing?
It is interesting because I mean I didn't get Switch Sports in the end just because it didn't really feel like it's gone past the point of having like local multiplayer gatherings like in the days of Sports Resort, which was a lot of fun back then. But yeah, so I didn't get that. So it's not something I'm hugely interested in now necessarily, but it was a huge seller. It did, even though Switch. Obviously, Switch is hugely successful in itself, right? So we shouldn't be terribly surprised any given game is that quite successful for it. But you might think it was a bit of a different audience than the Wii audience, right? In its heyday, Switch Sports, is not something that could tie directly to like it was packed in with the system. It sold a whole bunch of people on the concept for the device, and for some people, the Wii was just the bowling machine or whatever, you know what I mean? Right. It was never more than that. So, it was like inextricably linked with the identity of that system. But, just as like a game that came out for it, Switch Sports was still pretty bloody big. So we really shouldn't be surprised that this is coming. It's got a pretty premium release slot, right? Like this is in the October slot, I want to say.
I believe that is.
After, Fortune's Weaver's got September.
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a major release slot, but it's a major release, presumably. I mean, I guess you could argue how many, systems is this necessarily going to sell? Maybe not that many, but presumably the people, there already are, obviously, because the Switch 2 has been on actually a faster pace, for its early years, a single year to this point, compared to the first year Switch. There are relatively a lot of systems already out there, so presumably it's got pretty significant kind of sales potential, but you do have the price thing, right? Of just like, well, Switch 2 is more of a premium kind of product and getting more premium by the time that this actually comes out. Obviously, the price increases already come into effect in Japan. There was a big surge in sales.
There sure was.
Ahead of it. It was selling like 200,000 units a week for a bit there. And now it's like down to much, much less than that. A few tens of thousands or something. It's going to be September outside of Japan, and this will be on the other side of that. So you do wonder about that element of it, but still, I'm sure they've got pretty high expectations for it.
I'm gonna cruise through some things. We'll the Hello Kitty Party Land. This game will sell a billion units. Like it looks like exactly what that audience would want. We got a trailer for Star Fox. Of course, that's coming out next month, so they also announced the demo. We could talk about the demo a little bit in a minute. Let's get through the rest of the news first.
Sure.
We got a new HD 2D, because HD 2D will never die. This was Final Fantasy Resonance, the first Final Fantasy in HD 2D, I believe is how they worded it.
Also, it's like kind of like a homecoming, right? Because leaving the HD 2D aesthetic element out of it, it kind of feel like this begins with the Four Warriors of Light, the Final Fantasy spin-off on DS. Doesn't it? Like
I can see that.
We go from that to Bravely Default to Octopath Traveler, on Switch. It's like we've finally kind of gone back around to a Final Fantasy spin-off, but now, we've kind of the HD 2D aesthetic thing that happened in between applied to it.
Yeah, this is another Final Fantasy game where you're summoning Final Fantasy characters from other Final Fantasy games. They have done this many times now.
Yeah, and I guess they couldn't help, but with the effort, obviously another thing that happened before the Nintendo Direct was the confirmation of the final part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, Revelation. For next year, for the 30th anniversary, of the original Final Fantasy VII, and so they kind of had to have you summoning Cloud. I guess it couldn't be anyone else from Final Fantasy history.
October 22nd, again, one day off the death date. Just so many games coming out in that 3-day window. It looks nice, but yeah, I mean, I've been fooled before by it looks nice HD 2D. Pikuniku 2 looks ridiculous.
Sure. I probably didn't need a year head start on knowing that it exists. It's kind of weird. It's one of those 2027 games that's like...
It is.
Okay.
Just generically 2027.
Yeah.
But it looks... Honestly, it was of the things in here, it was one of the ones that I was more like, okay, I really want to play that right now. And then I got 2027 and I went, you fuckers. I see. Because it just looks like a fun, I'm just going to sit down and goof off kind of game.
Sure.
Which I can always use more of those. We got details on Dragon Quest Monsters, the Wither Kingdom, I think is what it's called.
World.
This world.
So,
yeah,
it's always got to be alliterative. That's your.
Oh, you're right. You're right. My mistake.
Clue.
This game, we already knew this game existed. This was just more details on it, and I think we got a date.
Yeah,
December 3rd.
I guess it kind of, that was another thing that was already tied up with the kind of announcement of the kind of reboot of 12. Yes, the moody fight. Like we said, maybe the Dragon Quest, Fiery 12 was better than the Prime 4, but apparently not, because even the edginess of the Fiery logo has been ditched. So it was more misleading than the Metroid Prime 4.
For shame. For shame. Duskblood's got a date for its closed network test.
What is this closed network test going to be?
I don't know, but it's in summer.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. It's so do we even know?
A closed network test. Why are you advertising it?
It just seems weird to me. I mean, it's
an online game, so I get it. But how do you get into the closed network test?
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would. You're right. So I can talk about it on the show. I would like to know, so I can explain it. It was very weird. It was like, we have a date. Do we have we need to do a Duskblood show. Do we have a date for it? No, we don't have a date for it. Do we have anything? Closed network test this summer? Fuck it. Put it. Doesn't even have a date. It's just summer 2020. We're already in summer. It's 100 fucking degrees outside. We're already in summer 2026. God damn it. I feel like we've been talking about Duskbloods forever. Oh my god!
It was right there at the start, wasn't it? With the first Switch 2 kind of presentations, and we've seen sort of little of substance.
We got a minute-long trailer that ended with them giving us the date for a network test. I was like, you fuckers! Truly impressive. Then we got a big chunk of Splatoon Raiders, because of course that is relatively close at hand.
Yep. And they did Treehouse for that afterwards. I've seen a little bit of it. You kind of seeing some enemies, if you played a fair bit of Salmon Run. You had some new ones, but as we said, they've got a dedicated direct for that coming up, closer to launch at the end of this month. So I imagine, a lot more of the specifics will get fleshed out there.
Also, there's a comic that you can get one page of every day in the Nintendo Today app. Do you have the Nintendo Today app? Do you want one page of the comic every day? It's so weird. It was this is weird. Also, they threw in at the end. I'm like, okay, sure. And there's a direct that they say appears to be based on Splatoon Raiders. The voiceover notes that it appears to be based on Splatoon Raiders. Not that it is. Which is weird, because you have the script, buddy. It's called the Splatoon Raiders Direct. But whatever. It's fine. But yeah, that game comes out very soon. So we don't really need to spend much time on it. July, I believe. Also, there's going to be Joy-Cons that match the colors of the whatever. I can't remember what the name of the band is in that one.
Deep Cut, yeah. The two kind of rather obviously Big Man is part of Deep Cut. We can't erase.
Big Man is the color of the Joy-Cons itself. It's fine. He's good. But
the other Fry and Shiver, I think they are.
Yeah, blue and yellow for the parts. Deltarune Chapter 5 is out. We got a trailer for it. It is Chapter 5 of Deltarune. Oh, excuse me. It's out the 24th. As a free update to Deltarune. I haven't played any of that, but that trailer was chaotic as hell. That's exactly what I expect. I don't know, have any of y'all played any of it? Or we're just completely out of the target audience, I think.
No, I've not played any Undertale.
Yeah, I think we're just completely out of the audience for it. It's fine. Metaphor ReFantazio, worst kept secret in the world, is coming to Switch 2. Very late, considering that game came out over a year ago now. I kind of would have expected that to be an early Switch 2 game, not a November 2026 Switch 2 game, but it's going to be like approaching 3 years old at that point. I think. Like 2.5 years old? I think it came out in the spring of 2024. So, that's an old game. Or maybe 2 years old. Maybe 2 years old. I've never played it. I know people who like it. I know people who have very strong feelings about it. I might play it. Like, that game having portability has value to me, and I don't really use the portability that much. I know it's long. I know there's lots of shit to do. So being able to, like, use the TV and have it in my hands, because, I mean, that's the thing with the Persona games. Like, being able to do that in a Persona game is super useful, because if I'm just in the fucking dungeon, having something on the TV helps. Did you know there's not a Minecraft 2, not a Switch 2 version of Minecraft? I thought that was a launch day thing. I don't know why I thought that was a launch day thing. But there's one now. Switch 2 is coming to Minecraft sometime this year. No dates. Just sometime this year. Sizzle reel with a bunch of stuff that's already on other systems. The Metal Gear Solid collection. More fitness boxing. An Atelier game. Warhammer is coming to Switch 2. Observer, DayZ.
Yeah, I guess Observer is nice because I played the Switch version and it was seriously hampered by the Switch's lack of power. So it would be nice to get a version, I guess, that is not dying as you play it.
Yep. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection 2, Rise of the Tomb Raider Collection, Tales of Eternia Remastered is kind of a new thing. That's interesting to a certain degree. I've never played Eternia. More fucking fitness boxing. I can't believe more of the fucking fitness boxing. Our necessary farming thing. Final Fantasy 14 Online now has an early access date of August. I think that was the whole sizzle reel. Yes. And then we hit the other block of an unimaginable amount of content is being announced for Switch 2. This is the natively running Kingdom Hearts Collections 1, Collection 2, and Collection 3. Collection 1 will also be natively available on Switch. They're shutting down the streaming version of that. What we got is an announcement for the 3 final Kingdom Hearts collections, which comprises the totality of the Kingdom Hearts franchise as it presently exists. Or you can buy them as a whole unit, meaning they are selling us the Kingdom Hearts collection.
Yep.
Which is fucking amazing. That is the most eShop ass thing in the world. Here's a collection of collections. I say that because the current top 3 things on the eShop are all collections of collections. This comes out October 8th. This is a remarkable amount of just stuff. And of course, this was the lead-in to the first real trailer of Kingdom Hearts 4. Up until now, they had basically just acknowledged it existed and sent some screenshots out, but hadn't really shown anything of any substance. This was a full, major story trailer of Kingdom Hearts 4, which obviously means it's day and date on Switch 2, with other systems, which is why we're getting, just like with the just like with the collection of Xenoblade remakes, this is what they're setting up for. It will be available, quote, at launch for Nintendo Switch 2. When is that? Who can say? Not Square Enix, apparently. I don't know. Any thoughts on the Kingdom Heartsening that is coming? The Kingdom Hearts onslaught?
None whatsoever. I mean, I've never even played a Kingdom Hearts game, so...
I kept hoping at the beginning of the trailer that it would be a new Bayonetta, because that giant demon sure looked to be...
It did have that look, yeah. I get where you're coming from on that one. And it's set in what appears to be more or less the real world.
Yeah.
Between that and the Xenoblade stuff, that's like 1,000 hours of game. It's just an outrageous amount of stuff. They didn't put it in the Direct, but also that the next day they announced Zero and Azure Remake. So, like, the Trails game. So, like, fuck it. Here's more content. More content for the Switch 2. Speaking of remakes and re-releases, hey, the very last thing was the unpredictable and completely not leaked announcement trailer for the remake of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. They showed fuck all.
Yeah, because we weren't supposed to know about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on this in terms of how much difference this makes. It definitely makes a difference in terms of like...
This is a 2026 game, to be clear.
The announcement ends up being weaker in its impact because...
Oh, definitely.
People already knew that it existed, essentially. Again, some people may not, but most people would have, who would be in a position to watch Nintendo Direct, would have also been in a position to pick up the fact that this was expected in general, and then in this broadcast specifically. The problem is, I guess, is one of the ways in which it makes a difference is that it makes it more that you are okay. I know this thing exists, so I don't want to just see it confirmed. I want to see something of substance, like okay, we've got a glimpse of the aesthetic. Of the kind of aesthetic that it's going for, but not even really a full one.
We got Link sleeping.
It's just Link asleep in his little treehouse at the start of the game. It was so insignificant that it felt like it was put together with the expectation. And even this, like I said again, maybe this expectation, even if it hadn't been as leaked as widely as it was, is a bit misplaced. But just the expectation that if you just have we're remaking Ocarina of Time, we just rocked your fucking world, didn't we? You don't know which way's up anymore. You don't really give a shit that there was nothing in the trailer. Like it feels like it was a little bit overestimating.
We already did that once before. We already made this game once before.
We're the same place we were with Star Fox in terms of Ocarina 3.
The exact same place
Ocarina 3D, is like... There's a lot of nice things about Ocarina 3D, but it is kind of more of a port than this is going to be, obviously, and even that was a long time ago.
I know.
But the problem, like I said, the problem is, especially because people knew, essentially, that it existed already, you have this appetite for details, right? It's like, is it like this new Star Fox, where it is basically that game, but just with different graphics? Or are we dealing with anything more significant here? Again, we went through this with Johnny months ago now, right? When this first started to come out, that anything like really drastic in terms of how different the game would be seems a bit beyond the scope of the project, I would guess. Considering it's probably there to kind of fill a slot on the schedule. In anticipation of the very highly anticipated Legend of Zelda movie next year. And just in the Switch 2 software lineup as well, while they're making the actual next big honking Zelda, right? That's, which is presumably years away. So you wouldn't think this project could have that big of a scope, I guess, but there's still a certain amount of question of like, well, how direct is it going to be?
it still feels like they need to do something to justify its existence besides just like...
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I mean, I feel this is so slight, I can't really make any kind of judgment about the aesthetic yet, because...
Like, that could just be a CG, like, that could just be, like, an opening cinematic. It doesn't look like the game at all.
Yeah,
like,
but also just, like, Link is one thing, but the world, the other characters, you know, like, you've got to see it in some sort of context rather than a tapestry and someone asleep.
45 seconds of a tapestry and 15 seconds of a slightly fucked up looking Link sleeping, who has the Triforce right now that he shouldn't have yet. Just as a point.
I guess Zelda's not sure on the notions of destiny, but it doesn't seem like the proper sequence. No.
But boy, when this came up, my takeaway at the time was like a remake of this is the least interesting thing they could do, and I was wrong. A remake of this and not making any effort to explain the justification for why it needed a remake is the least interesting thing.
Yeah, like I said, it feels like it's like, well, no, we don't need to do that yet because everyone's minds are going to be so blown by the fact that it exists that we can do that later, and that's just if that was ever going to be true, it definitely wasn't true when it's been leaked for months. So it just it did. Even if it was going to land. It ever gonna land, it just didn't have a chance to land.
Even if it hadn't leaked, though, let's say for the sake of argument it hadn't. This stratagem, this playbook is in their possession, didn't leak. Because they just executed it with Star Fox. In fact, they're still executing it with Star Fox. Like, it would be, you'd be able to go like, oh, this is just a thing now, huh? Like it would lose some of the impact just because of the sheer number of parallels to Star Fox 64. Which, in the spirit of that, they should have cut things off. They should have just cut this to The Legend of Zelda. Since Star Fox 64 has lost its 64 and has picked up the name of a different game, so too should Ocarina of Time have lost its subtitle and picked up the name of a different game.
If you kind of to differentiate it, not by year, but by golden word mark. I think.
Okay. That makes sense.
Before it was a golden box with a red word mark. Now it's golden word mark. It's very different.
Oh, yeah. You're right. No, my mistake. Oh, that's all on me then. Yeah, I feel like, especially because this is leaked, this is a very just kind of a thud of an ending.
It is, yeah. Like I said, I think it spoke to a certain overconfidence, even if if things hadn't leaked, but of course in the context where it has, it's just it's like it leaves you going and then and nothing, and
the fact that this is a this year game too.
But that kind of cuts both ways. On the one hand, when it says it's going to be 2026. It's kind of like, so you're really not saying more than that? Like, when it's going to be out in 6 months? But on the other hand, it's like, obviously they will be saying stuff about it quite shortly, won't they? So it's like, you chill the fuck out. You will know more about this in due course.
I think the fact that it's a 2026 game and that's all they had to show, and this is a game that most needed to show some extra stuff, is galling. But the fact that it seems to imply they don't know when in 2026 it's coming out is particularly like, what? Why don't you know the date?
It's a little strange, right? Because as we already said, you would kind of think like November probably seems like the logical choice here, right? It's just because we've already covered, like, we've got September covered with Fortune's Weave, we've got October covered with sports, it's with Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, so that is, November. Plenty of Zelda games that have come out in that month historically, and I guess it's close enough in the sort of run up, with the Galaxy games were October last year, right? In the run up to the Mario Galaxy movie in the first half of this year, so you're kind of recreating that. So
that's true.
It feels like it's a really clear window for it to go. So it is odd that they're not just ready to say this is actually the date.
I'm sure they know the date, but it's one of those things like, why don't you just fucking tell us?
Maybe it is just the most boring practical reason of just like we want another thing to drip feed. Like we start with the very most minute glimpse and we don't give the day, even though we know it, just so we can give it later. So, when we provide more detail, it's just a sort of cadence of when details are kind of unwrapped on this, I guess, but yeah, I can't imagine there's a particularly obvious, like, necessary reason to hold it back other than just what they think is the proper rhythm for dispensing this kind of information.
How about you drip feed us some actual fucking gameplay in a game that's coming out this year that's a remake of a 30-year-old game? How about that, Nintendo?
No, as we talked about when this was rumoured, I think for me the most glaringly obvious thing is that Hyrule Field, like, cannot be the way it was. It just, you know what I mean? Because that is the thing that, I mean, you could say this about the entire game, right? I think. And I really do think this is true in terms of, it can't live up to people's impressions of it in their heads, right? No. It can't. And that's true with a lot of these things when you're remaking them from 30 fucking years ago when they were landmark experiences, it's just, they were so impactful because they were breaking barriers and all that kind of stuff. And then, obviously they've been superseded often by games in their own franchise, let alone the broader world of game design. And so it's just like, if you actually are confronted with the way it was, all of a sudden it's like, God, it was this small, it was this, kind of, but, up for the time, when you stepped out into Hyrule Field, it was a big moment. It was like, oh, here's this big expanse of this world before you, and you can run around it and all that. But yeah, if you just got the high poly, high quality texture version of it, but it's the same size and the same functions, and I really feel like that is the part that people are going to go, God, there really was nothing to this, was there?
It really has the emotional resonance of the Nintendo hired this man. They made an Unreal 4 looking Zelda, but it lacks, like, looking at the very limited image we get of Link, remarkably limited image. Like, it just kind of looks lifeless. I know he's asleep, but he looks dead. He looks like I'm gonna be charitable. He looks like a doll.
Yeah, he looks very plasticky in that.
Yeah, he does. And his hair,
which I guess, it's, there's I guess there's certain fidelity to N64 aesthetic there. A lot of the characters from those eras that had that kind of, because they were like trying to approximate like those renders that they couldn't actually, achieve back then, but they were trying to. With stuff like Mario 64 and whatnot, but. I wonder about it. I mean, I guess the thing is that if it looked like Ocarina of Time as interpreted by the current Zelda aesthetic, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, like how interesting would that be? Because it's like, well, it just looks like Tears of the Kingdom, like that, right? So
I get it.
It should look its own, I wouldn't endorse it just being sort of shoehorned into the what we think of today as the Zelda kind of prevailing Zelda aesthetic. But at the moment it's not really seeming like it's got its own visual identity. Again, though, this is such a nothing glimpse into it.
If it doesn't have cow heads sticking out of walls, what the fuck are we even doing?
That's a Master Quest thing, isn't that right?
Yeah. That's all. That's all Master Quest weird. Like you can talk to cows and walls and milk them somehow.
Is it like Jabber's belly, like he's eating them or something, and then do they appear?
But you can still milk them. It's very strange.
You can still play the song and get them.
Even though the only thing sticking out is like their head. Like, where did it even come from? Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to, buddy.
So like I said, I really need to see more of the visuals in context. It does kind of remind you of the whole space world thing a bit, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Just like, it's Ocarina of Time, but with a higher polygon count, like which actually turned out those were Smash Brothers models. But people were excited about that back then. I don't know how excited they are about it now. That's the problem. It's like 26 years of
because we've seen. We've seen Zelda games with higher polygon models now. It's not novel.
No, unless you got all the other characters as well. That's the other thing. I mean, if it really is like going for a more realistic, quote unquote, depiction of like the whole Ocarina of Time world, I if people are finding Child Link like a little bit off-putting, I don't know what they're going to make of the Zoras. Or,
I didn't even think about that. Oh, no.
It's some of the reason why, it was such an inspired choice to do what they did with Wind Waker. Because it's like, it's just, especially when obviously graphics were not that much better on GameCube. It was a generation leap, but it wasn't, certainly when where we are today. It's like, no, some of these sort of outlandish elements, they just work better being highly stylized with the technology that we've got right now. So yeah, I don't, and it's not like, I don't know, in a lot of ways, I'd find it more understandable if it was like, let's go for like, you remember the artwork that surrounded Ocarina of Time, like you get the on the box art and stuff, like you'd see adult Link, you'd see Ganondorf, stuff like that. Like if it looked more like that, I would get it more, but it doesn't, because that had a bit more of a kind of illustration, and kind of watercolor feel, didn't it?
You just made me realize we're going to see adult Ruto in this graphic style. We're going to see Fishwoman with tits in this graphic style. Great. Things to not look forward to about this remake. Just another one to put on the list. I don't know. I'm pretty pessimistic here. Like we knew this was a thing, but I'm of the opinion it shouldn't be. unless they actually put the effort in. If there's just like, no, we made it look new. I guess
I'm actually thankful for the leak, because when I saw like the tapestry part, I thought like this looks like maybe they would they're showing us this, like this could be like a 2D Zelda game in this style. You're going into tapestries or something, a links between world kind of situation. And I was like, and I'm glad I'm not getting let down by the rest of this trailer.
You would have been more disappointed. Exactly. Isn't that?
You fuckers. You boomed me. All right, who has played the Star Fox demo?
I've played it, yeah.
I've also played it.
I have not, but you know what? I'm getting a nostalgia boost for Star Fox after watching it on that Direct. There's just something about Star Fox, man. It's a cool series. I really like it.
I on that point, one thing I noticed, and Greg, you might be the odd man out here because you didn't play it in English. There are lines that are relatively like well known that they seem to translate differently, just to not translate them the same way. So like, use the boost to get through is now use the boost or you'll be crushed. It's a minor thing, but it's one of those weird things where it's like, people know these lines by absolute rote.
Especially because it's a rail shooter, isn't it, as well? It's not just the lines, it's like the exact timing of them.
Right,
it's all etched in your brain, and presumably, if you like, you said, I've played it on like NSO in English. I've played it on the 3D version in English, but it's not etched in my brain the same way because I played it over and over and over in Japanese to get all the medals and all that.
It's a minor thing, like obviously, but like why? At least on those big like key lines, why would you translate them and just use different words? Like if you're gonna leave them structurally the same, why wouldn't you just give them the same words? It's not, like I said, it doesn't negatively impact the game. It just felt fucking weird. It was like, why is Peppy saying that? That's not what he's supposed to say there. You fucking rabbit, say the line. It's very like Bart on the Conan O'Brien show. Just say the line. But that's where it got to at some point. I'm like, just say the fucking line. There's like 4 or 5 of those in the demo where it's like they just changed like one word, and I'm like, but why? What did you accomplish?
It's probably a good idea. They went with like essentially the second level, right? The asteroid field, Meteor. Yeah, but
because at that point, like you're 3 times less likely to be as familiar with it as the first level, basically.
Well, there's a lot less chatter going on in that level too, whereas in the first one, there's a whole shitload of chatter. Because they're
and also at least like you may have played when you go through the routes, isn't it? You may play the other second level. Right. If you complete Corneria sort of mission, exactly, mission accomplished, and then you haven't got it isn't as inevitable. So it's although it's kind of the standard second level, I guess. If you don't fly through the arches and then follow Falco and all that, so it's still probably the one people might have played more. So, people, if they've got any memories of Star Fox 64, are probably going to remember it perfectly well, including some of those line readings, so I know what you mean with that, but,
it's not a big deal. It's just weird.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That, like I said, it's almost like because it's all happens, not just like the lines are there, but they all happen at the exact moments. It's almost like changing lyrics in a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it would sound wrong, wouldn't it? If you did.
At the end, when you're getting the everybody report in moment, I noticed that Peppy and Slippy respond to that, and then Falco seems like he's responding to a different question altogether. I'm like, don't be an asshole! What the fuck?
Well, that seems. I guess that's some of the reason why some of these deliveries might be more different is because there's more dialogue, and they've sort of doing more characterization. It kind of seems like that whole thing.
Oh yeah,
where
definitely.
Falco was like, right, everybody check your G diffuser, and Falco's like, I'm not checking it. Basically, it's fine. and then he gets in trouble later in the level, it's because he hasn't checked it. So I guess it's some of these things are probably going to be like little threads that build up. So in some cases, maybe that's why the lines have a little different quality to them, is because they're kind of picking up on these threads. And in other cases, like you said, it might pretty much just be, just a case of swapping out the odd word or whatever. It's nothing substantive really at all. But I guess.
I swear to God, if the train it doesn't scream, no, not the brakes, I'm going to be upset.
I think the biggest thing for me playing the demo, obviously, is just there was so much kind of emphasis because of what they showed to a fair degree, was a lot on the characters and the cutscenes, and it's like the new character designs and all that kind of stuff. You just actually play in the game and see, what the graphics are, what they've done with the graphics. When you're actually playing it, I mean, it's a big improvement, I think, probably especially for these space-based levels, because I think those backgrounds, were really just kind of, there wasn't a lot going on, was there, in the N64?
No, it was just black.
But you've got the Nebula levels as well, right? It's just like, it's a
PNG.
of a letter in the form of a nebula. You sit between this, the meteor stage, and what we've seen of the nebula levels, they have this kind of eerie glow to them, with the new lighting, and they just seem so much more evocative than those. I'm sure, stuff like Corneria and the other planets and stuff will benefit too, but these just feels a lot more like you're in some weird part of space rather than just floating through a black background.
Did you do the warp?
No, I didn't do the warp thing. No, I've seen it because John Redden's got a video of his playthrough on the NWR YouTube channel.
Was it that weird originally? I can't remember it.
I can barely remember doing it. I must have done it back in the day. Because as John says in his video, it is actually easier to get the medal if you go through the level that way than it is to do it the other way. But I don't think I did it that many times, because it was just kind of seeing it on John's video. It was oh yeah, that was a part of it. I definitely... when I've played, I don't think I did it probably, when I've played through it on NSO, that's for sure. I'm trying to remember about 64 3D.
Yeah, I did it a few times, but ultimately, you don't have to do it to get to that branch. So it was one of those things where I was like, well, I just won't. But it's weird, and it's hard to line up the ship on it. a little bit. So like I had to go into the other mode, which the demo doesn't even mention you can do to go into the other view mode. At that point, it became really easy to hit all the targets. But yeah, this is the training simulator. The little video sequences that come out and they're all just in VR headsets was at least amusing. Is it just me, or is the character who voices the training simulator, who apparently turning the difficulty up just breaks it, which is weird. That character felt really badly voice cast. Like it didn't fit the model at all. I don't know. It felt very odd. But I kind of felt that way about a lot. Like the characterization feels remarkably different in a way that it might have to get used to. But yeah, this sure was Star Fox 64 medio level. Like
yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, it is like the enemies were where they were before. Like it
pretty
has
much,
the same...
yeah. I think there was some very subtle differences that John read and pointed out, but it's pretty much there. I did muck about with the mouse controls a bit as well. We go in the cockpit view. It seems like an interesting way to experience the game. It definitely kind of helps. I think, if you're doing those kinds of like where you want to quickly snap between targets, it's pretty nice. But I guess a lot of the time with Star Fox 64, especially when you know the game as well as I do, and probably quite a few people who might be interested in this would, it's not necessarily so much about that. It's about like locking onto the right enemy,
right?
To get the maximum score bonus and taking
hit the
out
middle
enemies
one, not the edge ones.
In groups, with one shot rather than bam, 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 constantly, shooting different, targets like quickly from one to the next. So it's kind of, it is useful for that, but I don't know if that is useful that much of the time, right? It depends on the level, obviously, and I would have thought probably might be more useful in all range mode. Which does not feature in that level. You have a little bit of a training simulator that features that. But again, given the nature of the game, it kind of seems like it'd probably be at least worth like a few run-throughs in that style just to kind of see how it functions.
Yeah.
Of course, I use the N64 controller to play it. Are you supposed to... I haven't played the Star Fox 64 enough, I guess. In that level, are you not supposed to be able to do the loop-de-loop, like the full loop, by pressing down and the boost? Because I could not pull it off.
They've mapped it to the D-pad.
Okay, but but on the N64 controller, like you're supposed to just like hold the stick down basically and boost.
There may be a setting that's an issue here. Because there's this, I noticed this. I did run it, and I wasn't using the N64 controller, but I tried to do it the way I quote unquote knew how to do it, and it didn't work. And I looked in the options, and basically, because as James says, the sort of default mapping is to the D-pad kind of, the left Joy-Con, the buttons. Mm-hmm. But there's an option to turn on what it calls button combos, which is how it was done. That's how the N64 did it, right? Was the combination of buttons, so the tilt in the stick and the boost button. So yeah, I assume if you switch that on, you'll be able to do it the way you did it in the N64 game.
Okay. It was driving me crazy. I kept missing it, and I just, like, what am I
I'm not really sure why
right?
that switched off by default. Like, what's the harm in having it switched on by default? But there you go.
Huh. I don't know. I did try it myself, and it didn't work. And then the tutorial, like, that's the very next thing they did on the... Press the down button. I'm like, oh, all right. Sure, you win. Weird gopher thing. And then of course you can only do the turn on the all range mode sections, which I then immediately tried to do, and then it didn't work. And I'm like, oh right, that's an all range mode only thing. This is another one. I need to know. I need to know what they've got him. I get this isn't a full price game, and it shouldn't be. So that's good, but like I still need to know a little bit more about what they've done here. Like,
I mean, for me, the demo, the thing that you'd like to demo is the multiplayer. Because
that's true.
That's the new bit, and that might be what adds a bit more longevity to it and stuff, depending on how long it has enough players, to make it doable. Although you got some game share stuff as well, so if you could got friends that you could link up with and play that way, I guess. But that's the novel element. I'm not sure if they'll do something with that, but obviously we're really close to it coming out now, right? Like it's going to be, sort of 2 and a bit weeks, but right?
Yep.
So it's just I would like to see really what they've done there, but like I said, what's there is encouraging just from the point of view that aesthetically, I think it is adding quite a lot to. The scenarios, at least, certainly this kind of the space type level, and having the frame rate be as solid as it is not nothing, because certainly, there've been other Star Fox games that have been more, in the high frame rate, targeting 60 kind of domain, but 64 itself, hasn't been like, I guess the 3DS was more solid than the original, right? But it wasn't, I don't think it was targeting 60 or anything. It was just trying to hit a stable 30, I would presume.
Yeah. That pretty much covers everything in the Direct. All right. Well, emails, you can send them to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. That is rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. Greg, what is our music to end this show?
Well, I thought the big musical kind of theme that came out of the Direct for me was Yoko Shimomura. Because obviously we had Kingdom Hearts, is coming to Switch for real, along with the sequel, and we had the confirmation that Shimomura is coming back to the Xenoblade franchise for the first time in many years, right? Whatever it was, 2010 in Japan, the first one. So 16 years. 17 by the time the Xenoblade Genesis actually comes out. So, it's kind of a big deal. So I thought, we've got to do something Shimomura based, but not necessarily, you've got to say, well, would you go Kingdom Hearts or you go Xenoblade? We've used songs from both of those franchises before over the years. I'll let you guess which one has had more. But I thought, the fairest thing is to go with neither and go from another chapter in Shimomura's very storied career. So I thought we'd go for something from Radiant Historia, a game which we've actually only drawn from once in the 10 plus years of doing end music, and it's not directly from the game, James. You chose something from the piano arrangement album.
Yes. So,
I thought, well, let's get something actually from the game. And again, it was on DS. But it's very much sort of Shimomura music you could imagine being in like the original Xenoblade. Like it could have fit into that. Kinds of the instrumentation, the nature of it. So this is Memories of the World, and again, I feel like I'm really looking forward to hearing a Xenoblade soundtrack again that has that Shimomura influence in there after all this time.
Cool. All right, well, on that, it is time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.